Good morning to all of you. See, at the very outset, let me thank Trinity Institute of Professional Studies and Chairman Shri R.K. Tandonji for inviting me to this event. As I already talked about, that this event is primarily an HR event, and the theme is quite relevant in today's time, which is primarily focusing on building capability and nurturing talent. We all know that talent is the most important resource for any institution. I generally say that we talk of 4 resources or 4 M's: men, machine, materials, and money. The other 3 resources other than the man, but it was the human resource, they are immovable resource. That means you can still manage, control, because they'll be with you all the time. But the most important resource, which I said HR, or is the 4th M, is the only resource which daily goes out and you are not sure whether it will come back tomorrow or not. Because the right talent is actually required everywhere. So the right kind of skills if you have, if you are able to handle your job perfectly, you can always expect yourself to be in demand in the industry. And that is where the uncertainty comes in. We also know that the talent, we talk about, there is a common saying that employability, that many of these students who are passing out from academic institutions, they are not employable. What is the reason for that? Why do we say that? That means there's kind of a gap what we expect between the students who are being trained by the academic institutions and what actually the expectations of the industry are. So we need to look at how do we bridge this gap. Because from the day one, if you find that the student who actually is passing out is employable, is deployed in some kind of a role, and he's an asset from day one itself. And that is where I request all the HR people sitting from different industry sectors to really come forward and help all academic institutions and the universities to really design the curriculum in a way which actually builds into it the skill sets which actually would be required. And it has to be an ongoing process. It cannot be one-day job. It has to go on because the skill set requirements are changing very fast. As Shri Tandonji also mentioned, that we have seen that technology actually has really moved in a big way. I remember when I passed out from my academic program, I was using a personal computer with just 2 floppy drives into it, no hard disk. Just imagine the kind of change it has brought in. And today we are talking of technologies which are artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the latest buzzword is ChatGPT, we talk about. And now we find the industry is also responding to it in a big way, and Google has also come out with the tool to respond to its Bard. So this is actually transforming the way we think, and this also poses a challenge to all the human beings, the human resource, to really update themselves in the skill sets. Because otherwise technology is going to really replace you at many places. So you have to be one step ahead of technological developments which are actually happening around. I just share with you one example. I just thought of, I got so curious about ChatGPT. I thought of using it to test how it really works. I just requested it to design a question paper for undergraduate program on a specific subject, I'm not named the subject, of 3 hours duration with 8 questions, and gave me a beautiful question paper. Even I was not sure about that it's going to give us such wonderful question paper. Then I repeated that exercise again and found a totally different set of questions coming in. Just think of the kind of role actually it is playing now. So it's going to be a big challenge for all of us. When we talk of you can think of the term. Two ways we look at our students today. One is those who are looking for employment. Another is those who actually would be the employment giver. That is, they will be offering employment to students. So we should always not be employment seekers, job seekers. We should also be job givers also. From that perspective, at least I can say from the university side that we are trying to take a lot of initiatives, and that is where the students have to really think of that why we should always run and look for jobs. Why not do something different? And that is where we talk of the creativity and the critical thinking skills coming in. You have to look at the problems around and try to look at how can you solve these problems. So one of the traits which I would request all the students sitting out here is that try to kind of imbibe the critical thinking skills. Be creative. And creativity per se, if I ask you, can you tell me who is a creative person? If you look at my perspective, I say creativity requires that we should break the rules, break the norms, then only we can think differently. So to be creative, we need to think differently, think out of the box. And that requires we need to break the norms which are binding us, which are restricting us. So normally says, rebels are the ones actually who are creative. They never follow the norms. They stand out of the queue. So they think differently. And that's going to make the difference, and you will start thinking in a better way. So you have to think of what I can do to solve the problems which are being faced by the society or by the industry. And if we try to take up that as challenge, definitely we can see the kind of environment and the ecosystem which is around us. The startup ecosystem is going to facilitate it. At IPU University, we have already initiated the incubation center activities, and we are inviting proposals, trying to identify the good ideas, trying to nurture those ideas, and so that they can be taken forward and connecting them with the industry. That basically is one of the latest initiatives. And I would request through this channel, through this platform, to really inform you and invite you to that we have a big facility in the university where we are facilitating, trying to invite ideas. So think out of the box. Take those ideas to the heart, and there are industries which are ready to capture those ideas. So this is what actually which we need to think differently and try to not only look towards the opportunities in the industries and try to work as an employee, think of that you can also be the employment generator as well. We have also seen that as a step towards that, the NEP has taken us to a different focus, that is learner-centered focus. So far we've been finding that we try to design a curriculum and try to deliver that curriculum as on a mass scale, which actually has to be different. Because I think all of you must have seen the movie The Three Idiots. We talk of that everybody has a different passion. All of you cannot be good at everything. So you have to identify what actually is your competency, what is your passion, and try to work towards that passion. And to give that flexibility, NEP has provided a channel through which you can, while you are doing your BBA or maybe you're doing BCom or you're doing a law, you can also study those courses, those programs, those skill sets you can acquire, which actually you wish to. And this is what actually is going to be the flexible education, and you will be getting credit for it. That means you have a complete flexibility of designing your own course. I was just attending one of the meeting at the UDC. The chairman said that they are in the process of making it more flexible. Right now, if you know that there are a lot of boundaries which we have drawn for admission to different programs. Like who can be admitted to MBBS program or maybe engineering program and all. This is no barriers. Let a person from history come down and join MB or BCA program. Why we stop it? Because every individual has a different ability. If he's able to qualify in some tests, let's allow it. Don't create those barriers. So I think the days are not far when we'll find such kind of barriers being removed. And you can find, I'll give us a live example that Secretary Education, she's from nursing profession and she's an administrator now. Just think of the diversity. A dental surgeon becoming vice chancellor, just think of that. I think there's so many examples around that person from one domain actually excelling in other domains also. So we have to think from that perspective also. NEP is basically enabling it. At the central level, yes, from university perspective, I say that for placements, definitely we have also taken some initiatives in 2012 when the university created the central guidance and placement cell. And I being the founder, convener of that cell, we took a lot of initiatives and tried to connect to all the institutions as well as industries. And enter into some kind of MOUs, which are going to be long-term relationship between the industries and the academia. And I'm sure your college also must be a part of that. You must be taking kind of assistance from them, because as an employer, what they want is that they should be able to select from a vast pool of students. The college may not have that kind of a vast pool. So we just let's try to integrate our colleges, try to bring them together, and then provide that opportunity to the industries to select the best out of it. So this is how we can facilitate this, and I think now we are moving much ahead in that, and we have been able to offer good support in terms of the placement and the career guidance and preparation for that through the different workshops and activities we should do at the university level. And as Tandonji also mentioned that in NEP, because we have implemented NEP in the university, and we have also provided a flexibility in terms of admissions, that a student can join a 3-year program, he can quit after 1 year and come back after 2 years or 3 years to complete his degree. So that means we have multi-exit options available. So this also provides you that ability to learn as per your requirement. Right? So you have a time span of 7 years within which you can use that ABC, Academic Bank of Credits. You can use it, store it, whenever you feel like you can come back and again rejoin it. So that flexibility is there, which is available in the university. And I think when you look at the employment perspective also, or maybe from any, as an entrepreneur also, each one of us have to have certain skill sets which actually are very important. They are not specifically in technologies, but I think that they need to be imbibed, they need to be nurtured, and that is the most important is communication skills. In fact, large number of students, they come because they come from different backgrounds. It is important that they need to improve the communication skills. So my request to all of you, please focus on communication skills, try to improve them so that you are able to communicate with people more effectively, and that makes an impression. And I think this is what we find, that when you meet any person, the first instance itself, you love somebody. Leadership, definitely it's very important, because if you have to go along, you need to understand leading a team or leading your group itself. Third thing, which I already said, problem solving ability, you need to nurture that. You should try to look at every problem from a different perspective and try to find a solution to it. Creativity and critical thinking, already mentioned about it. And again, Tandonji also mentioned about technology. You all need to be comfortable in using technology, because now we are passing through that digital age. And thanks to COVID, it has advanced a bit. We expected that change to come in after a few years, but it has been advanced by the COVID-19. Multi-skilling and time management is another very important factor which need to be looked into. Social media skills, this is another area which actually is catching up very fast, and I think I'm sure at least not 100%, 90% of the people sitting in this hall must have been connected to some social media, Instagram, Twitter, all those things. That's what actually is the need of the hour. And last but not the least, you should have aptitude, a strong aptitude for learning. If you have that aptitude, I think you can always excel in anything, in any domain. Because this ability, this learning ability allows you to develop competence even in newer domains also, provided you are willing. So my request to all of you is that please try to focus on all your competencies, try to develop that ability of learning, and then only you can excel, whether it is the placements you're looking for, or it is something you mentioned you want to start as an entrepreneur or a technopreneur. So with these words, I would like to wish all of you that good time during this different sessions which you're going to have in the industry. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.